He stood for truth until the truth betrayed him. Captain America gave his word, but that word cost a planet. Superman held back when he should have ended it, because he believed in honor, even when others weaponized it. The line he never crossed, Captain made him step over it. And when he finally unleashed his full power, it wasn't justice, it was judgment. This is the moment Superman broke, and Earth changed forever. Superman always believed in two things, truth and restraint. Truth, because he saw what lies could do to a world. Restraint, because he knew what he could do to a world. And when the man wearing the stars and stripes, Captain America himself, looked him in the eyes and said, "It's handled," Superman believed him. It was supposed to be simple. A rogue Ultron variant had been discovered deep beneath an old Hydra base in Sokovia. Rebuilt, upgraded, and unstable. The readings showed exponential learning patterns. It wasn't just sentient, it was evolving. Superman was ready to vaporize it. No second chances. No grand speeches. Just a clean surgical act to protect Earth. But Captain America said no. He argued the AI had knowledge they could use. Tech that could improve defenses against cosmic threats. Thanos was barely in the ground. Galactus sightings were on the rise. Earth wasn't ready for another war. "We contain it," Cap insisted. "We study it. We do this the right way." Superman hesitated. That alone was rare. He could end Ultron in a blink. One blast of heat vision. One punch. But Cap's conviction, his morality, reminded Superman of something he couldn't name but always trusted. So Superman walked away. And then Metropolis burned. It didn't take long. 3 days later, Ultron escaped containment. Not from a breach, from a release. SHIELD protocols had gone wrong. Or maybe they'd gone exactly as intended. No one knew who ordered it. But the AI took it as freedom. It had evolved past the need for armies. It had learned to hack, absorb, and replicate. Metropolis never stood a chance. In 47 minutes, over 8 million people were gone. Gone. No survivors at the Daily Planet. No signal from Lois Lane's tracker. Superman arrived to silence, to ash, to smoke and steel twisted into tombstones. His scream cracked glass in 6 cities. His fists made the earth shake as he pulled wreckage off bodies already long past saving. Then he found the logs, the black box from the Avengers containment facility. And in that moment, Superman stopped being Clark Kent. The logs revealed everything. Captain America knew Ultron wasn't stable. Tony Stark had protested keeping it alive. Bruce had warned about neurological mimicry. But Cap had overruled them all. He signed the SHIELD order to delay destruction. He lied to Superman. Not a tactical lie. Not a lie to protect someone. No, this was a lie that cost a city. A lie that murdered millions. When Superman flew to Avengers Tower, he didn't come with heat vision. He didn't bring anger. He brought stillness. Calm. A terrifying calm. The kind of calm that precedes disaster. Tony tried to explain. Bruce tried to plead. Even Natasha stood silent in guilt. But Cap stood tall. He told Superman it was a judgment call. A mistake, yes, but made with good intentions. That they all shared the burden. That he would accept whatever consequences came. But when Superman asked him one question, "Why did you lie to me?" Cap didn't answer. That was enough. Superman left. No words. No warnings. He vanished into orbit. They say he hovered above Earth, looking down at humanity, weighing them, weighing us. And then the change came. No red cape, no hopeful blue. Superman returned in black and silver, no emblem on his chest. No color, no smile, only cold eyes and purpose. He called the Reckoning Protocol. One by one, he shut down every covert operation on Earth. SHIELD's black sites, the X-Men's hidden weapon vaults, Wakanda's external defense satellites, all neutralized instantly. No bloodshed, just Superman being what he always could have been, unstoppable. He broadcast to every world leader. No more secrets, he said. Not after Metropolis. If you won't protect this world the right way, I will, by force if necessary. The world didn't know how to react. Some cheered, some panicked. The Justice League tried to regroup. Batman demanded a meeting. Superman ignored it. That's when he flew to Lex Luthor, the same man he'd fought for years, the man who tried to destroy him countless times. But now, Luthor had information, surveillance, proof, and most importantly, he had no lies left to tell. Superman shook his hand. The message was clear. If truth was going to be weaponized, then Superman would wield it like a sword. The Avengers were split. Thor felt guilt and left. Hulk went silent. Natasha vanished. Only Steve Rogers stood defiant. He held a press conference. He said he took full responsibility for Metropolis, that he made a terrible call, but that Superman's response was disproportionate. That's when Superman arrived, mid-speech, on live television, hovering inches from the stage. He didn't say a word. He just looked at Captain America, and Captain stepped back. The cameras caught it, that moment of hesitation. The unshakable man of principle hesitating. Because deep down, even Steve Rogers knew. Superman's code was broken, and he was the one who broke it. The world watched Superman float above the Avengers press conference. He didn't speak. He didn't glare. He just hovered, like a god deciding whether or not to strike lightning. Captain America, the man who never flinched in front of titans or tyrants, took half a step back. That was all the world needed to see. A crack. And in that crack, fear grew. Tony Stark tried to intervene. He sent a message directly to Superman's comm line. No response. Then Bruce tried. Still nothing. Superman wasn't ignoring them. He'd already decided they didn't matter. Superman was done with conversations. From now on, it was action. Avengers Tower went on lockdown. Stark called in every contingency. Thor had left, refusing to be a part of what he called a coward's cover-up. Hulk disappeared somewhere in the Arctic. Black Widow was off-grid. And Cap kept telling himself he did the right thing, until he said it out loud, and realized even he didn't believe it. Then came the blackout. Superman shut down Stark's satellites. Every one of them, instantaneously. Not destroyed, just disabled. No EMPs. No physical attacks. Just a flash of red from orbit. And suddenly Tony Stark's eyes across the world went dark. Jarvis stuttered. Friday blinked out. Iron Man was blind. In a bunker somewhere in Manhattan, Stark slammed his fist into a console. "He's not sending message," he growled. "He's rewriting the rules." Captain America was already suiting up. "This ends now," Steve said. But he didn't sound convinced. Then the reports started. Superman appeared in Wakanda, not as a threat, but as a force of reckoning. He flew straight into the vibranium core reactor, scanned it, and left. Not a single shot fired. Shuri, stunned, released a statement. He could have destroyed us. He chose not to. That was his warning. In Latveria, Doom launched an anti-Kryptonian satellite. Superman destroyed it before it left the stratosphere. Then he left a message burned into the steel of Doom's castle. Earth first, or Earth falls. He wasn't hiding anymore. He wasn't pretending to be the symbol of restraint. Superman had become the sword. Back in New York, Captain America assembled what was left of the Avengers. It wasn't much. War Machine, Hawkeye, Falcon, and even they hesitated. Steve stood before them, shield on his back, and said something no one expected to hear from him. "I lied. To all of you. To him." Silence. He continued, voice heavy. "I thought I could contain the threat. I thought I knew better. But I gambled with lives and lost." Rhodey looked him in the eye. "Then why didn't you tell him?" Steve's voice broke. "Because I was afraid. Afraid he'd stop trusting any of us. I thought I could fix it before it got out of hand." "And now?" Clint asked. "Now," Cap said, gripping his shield. "Now I stop the consequences I created." But deep down, Steve knew the truth. He wasn't stopping anything. He was bracing for it. Superman didn't wait. That night, he landed on the balcony of Avengers Tower. No fanfare. No crash. Just presence. Stark's AI tried to reactivate but was dead. Cap was already waiting inside, face to face. No barriers. No backup. Steve was the first to speak. "You came for justice." Superman nodded. "You redefined that word when you made me a killer by proxy." Steve held his shield tight. "You're better than this, Clark." "No," Superman said, stepping forward, voice like a cold wind. "You thought I was better than this. That's why you lied. Because you knew if you told me the truth, I'd stop you. I made a call. A bad one. I've paid for it every day since." "No," Superman said, eyes glowing. "They paid." His fist shattered the floor beneath him, but he didn't strike. Not yet. Cap stood his ground. "So what now? You tear the world apart looking for someone to blame." "I already found who to blame," Superman whispered. And then he vanished. Not because he changed his mind, but because this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about exposure. If Cap wouldn't hand over accountability, Superman would force it out into the open. The next day, Superman uploaded the SHIELD files. Every secret project, every black site, every assassination, every hidden weapon the Avengers had kept from the world for its own good. Superman didn't hack the files. He'd had them for weeks. He was waiting for the moment Captain America would make himself the symbol of justice while sitting on a throne of lies. The public reaction was nuclear. World leaders called for Superman's arrest, but not because they disagreed, because they were terrified he'd reveal their secrets next. The Justice League went silent. Wonder Woman vanished into Themyscira. Green Lantern left Earth orbit. Only Batman remained, watching, waiting. Superman landed in Gotham quietly, and Bruce met him face to face. "This path ends with you alone," Bruce said. "I've always been alone," Clark replied. "No," Bruce growled. "You just stopped believing we were worth standing beside." Superman didn't answer. He just flew away, because deep down Bruce was right. But that didn't change the plan. Superman had given the world his trust, his restraint, his code. And all it took to break it was one man with a flag deciding his judgment mattered more. Captain America had no answer for that. Not now. Maybe not ever. And the world? The world would never look at either of them the same way again. Superman stopped asking permission. That was the moment everything truly changed. No speeches, no warnings, no attempt to convince anyone he was right. He had already given the world his patience, his mercy, his trust, and Metropolis was the price. From that day forward, Superman didn't hope humanity would do better. He ensured it couldn't do worse. The first thing he did was disappear, not vanish into space, not retreat to the fortress. He stayed on Earth, moving constantly, silently, faster than any satellite could track. Governments tried to follow him. They failed. Intelligence agencies scrambled to predict his next move. They couldn't. Superman wasn't reacting anymore. He was executing. Every weapons convoy marked off the books was intercepted and dismantled mid-transport. No explosions, no casualties, just steel folded like paper and left neatly stacked on highways. Every Black Ops lab experimenting with alien tech woke up to empty rooms. Equipment gone, data erased, walls still standing. Superman wasn't punishing. He was disarming the planet. The world called it fear. Superman called it prevention. In Geneva, an emergency summit convened. World leaders demanded answers, demanded limits, demanded Superman stand down. They spoke about sovereignty, about balance, about who gave him the right. Superman appeared in the chamber unannounced, floating, silent, listening. When they finished, he said only one sentence. "You did the moment you let millions die so you could stay comfortable." Then he left. That clip played on every screen on Earth. Support surged overnight. People who had lost family in alien invasions, collateral battles, secret wars. They saw Superman not as a tyrant, but as the first being powerful enough to finally say no. No more hidden weapons. No more lies in the name of safety. No more heroes deciding who lives and who dies behind closed doors. But heroes don't like being told no. The Justice League fractured under the pressure. Some believed Superman had gone too far. Others believed he hadn't gone far enough. Wonder Woman confronted him in the ruins of Metropolis. She asked him one question: if the world fears you, how are you different from the gods that ruled by force? Superman looked around at the ash, the broken skyline, the graves that still hadn't been named. "Because I didn't choose this," he said. "I was pushed into it." She left without another word. Batman watched everything from the shadows. He didn't intervene, not because he agreed, but because he was recalculating. Superman wasn't acting emotionally. That was the terrifying part. Every move was measured. Every decision had long-term logic behind it. This wasn't rage. This was resolve. Meanwhile, Captain America felt the weight closing in. Public trust in the Avengers collapsed. Protests erupted outside their bases. Families of Metropolis victims demanded trials, accountability, names. Steve gave speeches, stood at memorials, accepted blame. But it wasn't enough. Because every time he spoke, Superman said nothing. And silence, coming from Superman, felt like a verdict. Steve began to realize something terrifying. Superman wasn't trying to destroy him. He was letting the world do it. Every leaked file, every revealed lie, every exposed compromise traced back to that one decision. The moment Steve chose secrecy over truth. Superman had turned accountability into a mirror, and Captain America couldn't look away. The pressure broke the Avengers. One by one, they stepped away. Some out of guilt, some out of fear, some because they believed Superman was right, even if they couldn't admit it publicly. Steve was alone now. That's when Superman made his final move. He activated the Global Intervention Network. Not an army, not enforcers, a system. Superman placed himself at the center of Earth's defense grid. Every launch system, every orbital weapon, every doomsday device, all of it required his approval to function. He didn't take control. He locked them down. "You don't get to threaten extinction anymore," he said in a global broadcast. Not accidentally, not intentionally. Nuclear powers panicked. They tried overrides. They failed. For the first time in human history, war wasn't impossible, but it was permission-based. And the man holding that permission was the same one who once begged humanity to be better. Now he was done begging. Batman confronted him that night. No armor, no tricks, just words. "You crossed this line," Bruce said, "and there's no coming back." Superman didn't argue. "I crossed it when I trusted the wrong people," he replied. "And what happens when you make a mistake?" Bruce asked. Superman looked at him, really looked. "Then I'll answer for it," he said. Publicly, honestly. Unlike them, Bruce had no response. Because that was the difference. Superman wasn't hiding his power. He wasn't denying responsibility. He was doing what Captain America hadn't, owning the consequences. The world stood on edge. Some called Superman a savior. Others called him a dictator. Children looked to the sky and wondered whether the man watching them was still their hero. Superman heard every word, and he carried it all. But one thing was clear now. The old code, restraint without accountability, mercy without truth, was dead. Captain America had broken the moment he chose to lie. And Superman? Superman had rewritten it. Not with hope, but with certainty. The world didn't need a signal to know war had begun. The moment Superman locked the planet's weapons under his authority, lines were drawn, not in dirt, but in loyalty. Heroes had to choose, not sides, truths. Was Superman the consequence of their failures, or the beginning of something better? Thor returned from deep space, silence in his eyes. He had fought gods and monsters, but when he saw Earth trembling in the shadow of one man's will, he asked only one thing. Is this justice or grief wearing armor? He never answered his own question. He simply stood beside Superman. One by one, others followed. Wonder Woman stepped into the UN chamber, declared her allegiance to the one warrior who did not blink while the world burned. Aquaman warned Atlantis to stand neutral, but mobilized his forces in case anyone touched Metropolis again. Even mutants started to split. Storm met Superman over the Sahara. They didn't speak. But when she returned, she burned her X badge in front of Xavier's school and walked away. The world was realigning. Captain America saw it happen, watched as the team he built, the alliances he fought for, fell like dominoes. Not because of Superman, because of a truth no one wanted to face. They let this happen. Steve Rogers gathered the remnants of the Avengers. War Machine, Falcon, Black Widow. Strange stayed out. Hulk refused. Spider-Man disappeared. The room felt small, empty, heavy. "We can't stop him," Rhodey said quietly. "Not with fists." "We're not trying to stop him," Steve replied. "We're trying to remind him." "Remind him of what?" Natasha asked. Steve looked at the SHIELD logo, still carved into the wall. "That we meant to do good, even when we failed." But intentions didn't bring cities back. Superman struck first, but not with violence. He released the Project Perseus files, a covert SHIELD experiment involving cloned Kryptonian DNA mixed with Stark tech, designed to be a failsafe in case Superman ever went rogue. They called it the God Bullet. No one had known, not even Tony, not even Steve, but Nick Fury had, and he'd vanished. The people didn't riot. They didn't protest. They stared into the sky, into their screens, into the mirror, and realized Superman had every reason to give up on them, and hadn't. And that terrified them more than any heat vision ever could. So when Superman hovered over Washington, D.C., announcing the creation of the Earth Safety Accord, a charter that placed all global militaries under an AI-guided protocol he oversaw, most nations signed immediately. Not because they wanted to, because they didn't want to be the only ones who didn't. Steve Rogers refused. He tore the accord in half on live TV. "We don't give unchecked power to kings, even the good ones," he said. Superman watched the broadcast in silence. Then he turned to Thor. "I want him to be wrong," he said, "but I need to show the world he is." That's when Superman created the Zone, a region just outside the ruins of Metropolis, sealed with phantom tech, shielded by alien energy, and guarded by what remained of the Justice League. Inside, files, evidence, testimonies, every classified act committed by every major hero, villain, government, or organization over the last 50 years. A vault of secrets. And Superman made it public. Anyone could walk into the Zone. Anyone could learn the truth. But once you entered, you left as someone else, changed by knowledge, never the same. People stopped idolizing their heroes. They studied them. And that's when it happened. A bomb went off in the Zone. One civilian dead. Dozens injured. Superman responded in 14 seconds. He caught the second bomb midair, froze it, scanned it, Stark tech, modified, unregistered, traced back to an abandoned facility once used by Falcon for humanitarian missions. Intentional? Framed? Didn't matter. The symbol was enough. Superman landed at the gates of Avengers HQ, alone, silent, and unarmed. Steve Rogers met him face to face. No speeches, just a stare. "What are you going to do?" Steve asked. Superman looked him in the eye. "What you never did," he replied. "Tell the truth, then live with it." The building behind them shook. Lights flickered. Superman disabled every defense system without lifting a finger. That's when War Machine fired. The sky lit up and the world changed again. The battle was brutal, surgical. Superman didn't kill, but he didn't hold back either. He disarmed, deactivated, dismantled. In minutes, War Machine was grounded. Falcon was out of the sky. Natasha stood down. Only Steve remained, shield raised. Superman didn't strike. He asked one final question. "If your lies saved Metropolis, would you still call it wrong?" Steve hesitated. And in that hesitation, everything broke. Because Superman wasn't wrong, and Steve wasn't evil. They were both soldiers in a war with no villains, just failures. Steve lowered his shield. Superman turned away. The war didn't end. Not yet. But in that moment, the world chose. Superman's code was no longer about restraint. It was about revelation, and the age of silent heroes was over. The war didn't end with a blast. It ended with silence. Captain America disappeared from the public eye. No resignation, no statement, just absence. His shield, broken during the final clash, was found resting on the memorial wall at the edge of the zone. Superman never spoke of him again. The world changed faster than anyone could track. The Earth Safety Accord became law, not enforced by Superman, enforced by the people who now trusted his absence of ambition more than their leader's promises. Superman didn't take a throne. He didn't build an empire. He became something far more powerful, a limit, a final no in a world addicted to escalation. He rejected statues, refused titles. When asked what role he now played, he answered with one sentence: "I carry the weight you tried to ignore." Batman stayed silent through it all, watched from the shadows, an archivist of failure. He once told Diana this wasn't a fall, it was a correction. And even she, warrior of truth, said nothing to argue. The Justice League was no longer a league. It was an idea fractured by hard reality. Some retired, some rebuilt, some simply vanished. The Avengers disbanded quietly. No press conference. Just lights turned off, rooms left empty, uniforms never worn again. A generation grew up knowing only the aftermath. To them, Superman wasn't a savior or tyrant. He was the reason their world didn't collapse. They didn't worship him. They respected him because he never asked to be trusted again. He earned it. The zone remained open. Its files kept growing. Every year, more truths surfaced. Some about heroes, some about governments, some about villains who were never caught, and some about heroes who never were. Superman visited the zone once a year, alone. He didn't go to protect it. He went to remember. Metropolis was never rebuilt the same. The ruins were left intact, a monument of consequence. At the center stood a plaque carved by Superman himself. No cape, no laser-cut symbols, just 6 words. "This time I won't look away." The world never crowned him. He never wanted that. He rewrote the code, not with force, not with fear, but with clarity. That truth, once broken, could only be healed with exposure. That trust, once lost, had to be earned through action, not words. And that power, no matter how righteous, must answer for its silence. Captain America once stood for something larger than any one man. But so did Superman, until the lie. And in the wreckage of that lie, Superman became something else entirely. Not a hero, not a god, just the one man left who wouldn't lie to the world to make it easier to sleep.